Early specialisation versus early diversification. Is early specialisation or diversification the best way to develop athletes at a young age? Many sports and sports clubs see early specialisation as the most positive way to develop young athletes along a pathway into elite performance success. Elite clubs bring in young athletes into professional environments and put them on an elite pathway with the end goal of getting them into an elite performance stage, such as being a professional in their sport. A theory by Eriksson, Kramp and Tesk Roma in 1993 described that athletes need to complete 10,000 hours of deliberate practice to achieve success. Eriksson focused on violin students at a music academy in Berlin, and the study that he did found that the most accomplished of the students had put 10,000 hours of practice in by the time they had turned 20. So in conclusion to his research, put in your 10,000 hours of practice and become an expert in your chosen area. Sounds easy, doesn't it? But when you go into closer and deeper examination of the research, more problems start to show. The 10,000 number is catchy and easy to remember, but it's not really based on anything substantial. The research shows that the 10,000 hours was an average, and not at all the best violinists had put in this number of hours by the time they had turned age 20. So does this mean that the 10,000 hours idea isn't true? It's not necessarily false, as 10,000 hours of deliberate practice is plenty of hours to master something. But what do we know about how to master a task? One thing we know for sure is that not all practice is done the same, as not everyone starts from the same place. In a book called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman in 1995, he says, "The secret to continued improvement isn't the amount of time invested, but the quality of that time." Eriksson and other psychologists identified that deliberate practice was the main predictor of success, as the persistent training which you give your full concentration to, rather than just your time, makes a qualitative difference. But will deliberate practice in one sport from an early age have a positive or negative effect on young athletes? Baker, J. et al. In 2009 quotes that while associations between early specialisation and expertise development are highlighted, much research also suggests early specialisation is associated with a range of negative consequences affecting physical, psychological and social development. So an alternative to early specialisation that has been proposed for youth athletes is the practice of early diversification, which refers to the practice of many sports and the use of primarily deliberate play. By taking part in other sports, you are able to gain valuable skills that you might not be able to gain whilst on an early specialisation pathway. An example of this is being able to gain quick reactions in table tennis that can be valuable in developing your goalkeeping in football, as it is an important aspect that goalkeepers need to have. Cote in 2007 also states that deliberate play also allows diversity and freedom to try new and alternative approaches, to develop fundamental skills whilst also focusing on the enjoyment aspect of playing and being involved in sport. In an autobiography by Andre Agassi in 2009, he describes the abuse that he endured from his father as a child. He says, "No one ever asked me if I wanted to play tennis, let alone make it my life. I hate tennis, hate it with all my heart. I keep playing because I have no choice. I beg him for a chance to play soccer with my friends." He shouts at the top of his lungs, "You're a tennis player, you're going to be number one in the world, you're going to make lots of money, that's the plan and that's the end of it." This shows how specialisation at a young age can have a negative impact on a child's experience in sport. Collins and MacNamara in 2018 state that whilst there are a few biopsycho arguments in favour of early specialisation, the realities of the child's self-esteem and the politico-economic situation must also be considered, which ultimately comes to the point of allowing your child to have the freedom of getting involved in the sports they enjoy the most at a young age. Baker et al. In 2003 indicated that participation in other relevant activities, for example in other sports where dynamic decision making is necessary during early phases of development, augmented the physical and cognitive skills necessary in their primary sport. This may show the benefit of early diversification compared to early specialisation.